I just hit those moments of such complete despair and confusion. I remember one night just picking up a bottle of Percodan and just going for it.
With several dozen of the powerful painkillers seeping into his system, Rob realized he had lost control. He called for help and was taken to a nearby hospital. I
hit the wall severely. You fall to your knees and you literally do ask God to help you.
On January 6, 1986, Rob checked into a rehab center in Phoenix. But his road to recovery quickly led to a crossroads within the group. When the other priests came to his bedside, Rob felt they didn't take him seriously.
They came to see me laying in my bed on my glucose drip and must have thought, what is he doing here? Or, you know, what's this about? They wished me well and a speedy recovery and, you know, let's get back on the road.
I always kind of have a problem with people that have, like, psychological problems. You don't really know how much is people are looking for a little bit of sympathy or whatever the deal is, you know. So it's always kind of hard to take that kind of thing totally serious. We just went round and said, oh, come on, Rob, you know, you look fine, you sound fine, you must be fine.
After 33 days in treatment, Rob rejoined Judas Priest. Although not yet prepared to confront the issue of his homosexuality, he was revitalized and ready to carry on with the band.
It might sound stupid, but I'm glad I went through that. I had to go through those moments, you know, bloody knuckles and so on, to get to the point of recovery.
He always had this unreal voice that every metal singer would have died for, and it just got better when he gave up drinking.
With a revived Rob, Judas Priest continued building their rocking rep in the late 1980s. But just as they seemed back on track, the group faced another setback when the police pulled up at a concert in Dallas in the winter of '89.
We were just about to go on stage one night, and a sheriff walked in and gave us a subpoena.
Judas Priest discovered they were being accused of causing the deaths of two young men who'd entered a suicide pact on December 23, 1985, in the town of Sparks, Nevada.
They'd been drinking, smoked a little pot, listening to the Judas Priest album, Stained Glass. They got worked up and decided that they were going to kill themselves, and each one took a turn putting a shotgun to their head and pulling the trigger.
When we heard about this terrible tragedy, it was just mind-blowing. Too difficult to contemplate initially that these two boys were dead.
18-year-old Raymond Belknap died instantly in a church playground, but 20-year-old James Vance lived another 2 years in agony before dying in a hospital from numerous complications. Just before he passed away, he wrote a letter to his dead friend's mother.
He wrote that the music mesmerized them into believing the answer to life was death. So James Vance actually pointed the finger at the music.
In late 1989, the families of the two young men sued Judas Priest in a liability suit for $6.2 million. The plaintiffs knew the First Amendment protected song lyrics as part of free speech, so instead they focused on unspoken communication.
Just by accident, we started looking at the idea that maybe there were hidden lyrics or messages in the music. The sound specialist actually found the subliminal elements that we ended up suing on.
Judas Priest loved America and America loved Judas Priest, and suddenly we were on trial for our life.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated.
The trial began on July 16, 1990. The plaintiffs called numerous experts, hoping to prove that Priest had inserted a subtle but terrible order into the song, Better by You, Better Than Me.
Better by you, better than me.
In that song is a subliminal command that says, do it.
Better by you, better than me.
Which, with the lyrics, means kill yourself.
Are there subliminal duets on the Better by You, Better Than Me song?
Absolutely not.
The defense rejected any suggestion of hidden lyrics and said the boys' backgrounds of drug use and depression made them high suicide risks, with or without Judas Priest.
The parents of these boys were suffering, and we were suffering. We were all suffering in that courtroom.
Several weeks into the trial, the men of Judas Priest faced the very real possibility that they would be held responsible for the deaths of the two boys. Next, the priests split up.
It was a big shock, really. From our point of view, it was pretty devastating.
And later, Rob comes clean.
People can't touch you when you set yourself free.
When Behind the Music continues. In the summer of 1990, Judas Priest was facing a terrible test. In a landmark court case, they were sued for inducing the suicides of two young men with subliminal commands in their music. Commands that Priest insisted didn't exist.
No matter how they tried, they couldn't understand.
They were just frightened that something bad was going to happen to them, and there was nothing they could do about it.
It was the worst experience that I've been through with Judas Priest. There's no doubt about that.
On August 24th, 1990, after a month of testimony, the judge ruled that Judas Priest were not responsible for the suicides, and the plaintiffs failed to prove the band had intentionally placed subliminal commands in their music. Judas Priest emerged acquitted, but exhausted.
He had enough, take anymore.
It was just a really painful experience. I've never recovered from it. I still think about it now, all these years later. It just really has scarred me deeply emotionally.
In the aftermath of the trial, Priest forged ahead, barnstorming the U.S. and Canada on another tour. But in August '91, during a show in Toronto, they faced another difficult hurdle. Rob revved his Harley and shot out on stage, only to collide violently with a half-raised drum riser.
It knocks me back off the bike, knocks me out. I'm under 3 foot of dry ice and smoke.
We walk out there playing and you go, where's Rob?
There's so much smoke, we couldn't see him. I just thought that his mic had gone down until I stepped on him.
Rob left the stage in agony, only to return minutes later.
God bless him. He came back on with like a plaster over his nose, and the guy must have been in agony.
True to his sense of professionalism, he came back on, and the show must go on and finish the show.
The minute the concert ended, Rob was taken to a nearby hospital. Although he had no lasting physical injuries, the accident turned into an emotional epiphany.
I just remember laying in that ambulance thinking long and hard about what I wanted to do.
In the months that followed, Rob realized he was ready for a change.
For so many years, I was putting myself in the back seat and letting everybody else drive. I've been with these guys for 20 years of my life who I love like brothers, but I just want to stretch. I just want to see what else is going on. So initially, that's what I wanted to do, and it was all very amicable.
At first, everyone thought the break would be a short one. But when Rob formed a new band called Fight, the other priests feared he was gone for good.
Right away from cradle to the grave.
He quickly escalated from a solo project to a solo career. From our point of view,
There was just complete confusion and I guess anxiety and frustration on everybody's part. And like all families, we had a big falling out.
Although Rob insists it was never his intention to leave Judas Priest permanently, he extricated himself from a contract tying him to the band. Tensions quickly escalated into a war of words.
Words between the hammer and the anvil.
call it a horrific squabble, if you like.
There was a lot of flack flying around. A lot of it childish, I must admit. There's personal attacks in there, you know, which weren't necessary at all.
By the time the fights faded in May of '92, Rob was out of the band, stunning everyone involved.
If I personally had have handled it a little bit more diplomatically and been more open to conversation, things may not have ended up the way that they did.
Why he left to this day, we still don't know exactly why. It was a big shock, really. From our point of view, it was pretty devastating.
We were left in a situation where, after 25 years of hard work, our career was basically over.